and Colby, and of course they couldn't believe that these people would do that. That really was what it was about, without piecing it together and saying the note says if you so much as call a cop, she's beheaded. First thing they do, the black and white rolls up.
Yeah, and another thing, to this day, Peter, I swear to God, when the subject comes up, people in Boulder still believe that they are innocent.
Well, I mean, I don't know, I don't know what those people believe in Boulder. It's like I said, it's the only country in the world that has its own, only city in America that has its own foreign policy. But there's a grand illusion, as Remark said, but they could not believe, and that's why it was the perfect town, because their town was perfect. Subsequently, perfect people like the Ramseys, who lived in a perfect house with a perfect family, who did everything perfectly, could not have perfectly done this, which, of course, they perfectly did.
Exactly. I truly believe that also.
Yeah,
well, listen, great show.
God bless, man. All right, thanks, bro.
Take care.
Happy
Bye-bye.
New Year. All right. Morning, everyone. Email. Peter, I remember when you interviewed the ex-Miss America whose father assaulted her for years, Marilyn Vanderbeer. That's exactly what it was. And she said she thought there was something going on with the family, i.e. the Ramseys. Absolutely. I see Marilyn all the time. She's a wonderful woman. And she said, I think Patsy was crazier than Aunt Pam. Yes, I do too. So I had a partner by the name of Don Reggae, and we had Media Horror Productions. And I wrote them, and Donnie put them together. And if you remember, the Box Tops did the letter. Well, the ransom note was, in essence, a letter. So without further ado, and apologies to the Box Tops, the letter.
Give me a Sharpie and a legal pad. This is the worst Christmas we've ever had. Soon be light of day. What will people say? We better write us a letter. Start off the first sentence, listen carefully. Misspell some words so they don't think it's me. Use your other hand, making our demand. We better write us a letter. Well, we wrote us a letter, so some foreigners had her, and they wanted some dough. Listen, people, can't you see a good Christian family couldn't do this? No way, yeah. Now a New York lawyer says he has the proof. We won't talk, but no one prints the truth. Someone named Donnie may have held her pay. He can't prove we wrote the letter. Well, you write an A this way and you write an A that way, and there's really no hope. Quivering and quavering and weaving and waving, 'cause she's on too much dope. Blown away, yeah. How can we make this look like we're not involved? How can we make sure this case is never solved? Pass the note around, then move out of town. They can't prove we wrote the letter. They can't prove we wrote the letter.
Tower to runway number 2.
Don Reggae,
Mr. Ramsey,
Peter Boyle's
clear for
Media
takeoff.
Horror Presents. We're just giving you little bits of this. I get back to the phones. We actually thought, and I could still talk Donnie, and we should stage that opera. I think we should do it. Let's go here, line 3 to Sandra. Lines are full, Sandra. Good morning. You're on the show.
Hey, I love the music. That's incredible.
He was, and Donnie was in Indiana this morning. And Donnie and I, I'm trying to even think how we met. I thought Werewolf of Boulder was the first of our tunes. And he called me up and he said, and he's just this gifted guy. And I would write them, and Donnie would do them. And so we were called I was called a Media Horror. So we started Media Horror Productions. And and every time there would be some kind of a change in the story, then we'd write a new tune to go with it. So that's where that came from.
Well, today what I have to say is that there are many rumors that this horrific murder is nothing more than a satanic Illuminati ritual.
It was an accident. I mean, Patsy, this is my personal belief, in a fit of rage, the murder weapon was the flashlight that had the batteries were wiped clean. And then the garrote that was used, remember there was black duct tape placed over her mouth, and her body was taken into the basement of the Ramseys' residence, and she was wrapped in a blanket, and the ligature that was around her neck came from Patsy Ramsey's paint box. And Patsy Ramsey's paint box was in another dark part of the of the house, and that means the so-called intruder knew exactly where to go to get Patsy's paintbrush and break it and use it as the garrote. In fact, I had some friends visiting this morning, and I was saying that they did not know that she had been struck on the head until the autopsy that night. The belief always was that her cause of death was the ligature, the garrote around her neck, and in fact it may have been, but the blow to her head is what happened first. And I believe she was running from her mother because she was a bedwetter and a defecator, and she ran from her mother, and her mother, in a fit of anger, smacked her in the back of the head.
Okay.
I don't think
Okay.
I think it's that simple.
Okay, there is also rumors out there that her death was predetermined at birth, and that her name is very close to Jean Bay, which is a resemblance to a
John,
satanic
her name John. Remember, Patsy's a Francophile, so Jean Benet is a combination. And it's really weird. Remember Aaron A. Thompson, and remember her father, who I think is direct. I mean, either he or Shelley Lowe killed that kid, and she's dead, and he's in prison. But Aaron A. was a made up name for Aaron, and John Benet. John is a French, some weird French John Bennett, because John Ramsey's name is John Bennett Ramsey. So Jean Benet comes from John Bennett Ramsey.
Well, Ramsey is also a traceable royal name.
Yeah, but only to the Egyptians. Have a good day. Thanks. All right, we go one more and we'll play another tune. Let's go to Rick. Rick, you're on the radio show. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pete. How you doing
Brother
today?
man, I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, I worked for the city of Boulder for 39 years, and I was working for him at the time.
Wow.
And I knew pretty much every cop that showed up that day, and I was talking to him later, and a couple of things that they were very upset about.
Let me do. Can I say, I want to talk with you. I'm close to a traffic break. I want to give you plenty of time. Can I put you on hold?
You got it.
Ricky, hang on, everybody. Kurt, I put you on hold. I do apologize. And you worked in Boulder, and you knew the cops. So if you would pick it up, please.
Okay. I knew pretty much all the police that were involved with that. And the thing that really bothered them was as soon as this evidently started, Patsy called Leslie Durgan, the mayor.
That's right. The great.
Told her exactly what had happened.
I dubbed her the Great Leslie.
You betcha. Well, Durgan immediately called Kobe at home, and according to very good source, said, "Look, these are personal friends of mine because they're in cancer treatment together, and please handle them with kid gloves. This is a terrible tragedy." That's why the place was immediately open and the crime scene was destroyed. And many of the police there, including Rick French, Tom Trujillo, a bunch of them, the officer, I just spaced his name, who wrote the book, were so enraged they couldn't believe it because it went right out the door.
Yeah, but
case.
I don't know. I mean, that's pretty far fetched. The reason is when the police get there, they're not trained. In other words, one of the things you can learn about how to do it, a crime scene, is the O.J. Simpson murders. Nobody went in over that yellow tape. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind O.J. didn't murder those people, but they sealed off the crime scene. And in the Ramsey case, suppose even if she was kidnapped, suppose that the ransom note was real, the clues are everywhere in the house. Nobody can come in and come out of a house without those guys knowing it. And so,
right, Pete. But the thing of it is they let all the people in the house.
But the cops did that. I mean, there wasn't. I mean, the Great Leslie aside, and the phone calls aside. I mean, whether those happened or not, it's not my call. But early in the morning on the 26th, when Patsy makes the call, the 911 call, then they also call the Whites get there, the Fernies get there. Roll Hoverstock, I think was his name. The minister's there. Linda Arndt comes in. I mean, they got the second ID in there, and so, and there's John Fernie, Fleet White. You're right, Detective Arndt's in there. The whole Ramsey family's in there. And what they should have done was everybody leaves right now. You wake the kid up, and the kid. There's every belief that the kid had been up earlier, but you get everybody out and you seal up the house. Now that way. But instead, of course, as you know, John Ramsey is allowed, quote unquote, to discover the body, brings the body upstairs after his own search of the basement, and then hands the body to Linda Arndt. Linda Arndt takes the body and puts the body under the Christmas tree, and Patsy goes into her act.